Welcome back, Ryan and Cars. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you if you're new, welcome. I'm actually getting a lot of subscribers lately. Thank you very much for clicking on the video. What do I do? What do I do? I talk about cars. I talk about driving. This is like a car talk channel. I also talk a lot about the Dodge Hornet because I bought one when they were first released. There's a funny story to it. You can look at it in a video. I actually didn't know anything about the Hornet. Didn't know they existed. The whole thing. Regular viewers know this stuff already, but it was a pleasant surprise. This Hornet, because it is a ton of fun and 100% reliable. I got a good one at the release. My regular viewers, just hang on a second because I'm actually going to talk about the Hornet for a bit because I went to the dealership and I talked with the finance guy. I got a call from my parent dealership where I bought the car on the island. It was the weirdest call I ever had. Well, not ever had, but one of the weirdest calls I've ever had from a car dealership. Like during the sales process, I really didn't pay attention. It was all standard stuff. I just signed papers, did that, did the other thing, and walked away. It was 9 o'clock at night. They were trying to get me into the car. I was trying to get into the car. I was trying to get rid of my BMW, and they stayed open late for me and got me into the car. Gave me a stack of paperwork to take home with me, and see you later. Well, I got the call. And the call was the finance manager saying, "Hey, uh, you have, we noticed, or something along those lines. We have a better, you have a better interest rate for your loan." And I told her, "Hey, I'm not in Victoria anymore. I moved to Alberta." Because she said, "Come on down and we'll talk about it. We'll look at it." And I said, "I don't live there anymore. I live here." And she said, "Oh, okay. Maybe you want to go down to your local dealership and ask them about it." I said, "Sure." And I kind of put it on the back burner for a while, but I was in town, running around, sort of thing, and I said, "Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna stop in there and see. I'm gonna ask about this." I was with my dad. We were doing some stuff, so I went and talked with their finance guy, and I said, "Look, I got this call from where I bought the car, and I now get the car serviced here. And what's the deal with this?" And I told him the story, and he said, "Oh, okay." He goes, "This is actually something that is now frowned upon." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "So, like, you're in a loan right now, and it's it's a closed loan. It's not like you took out a mortgage with a variable rate and you can lock in a rate or anything like that." He goes, "How this works, if you want to, yes, if you've got better credit and you can get a better, uh, what percentage is your loan right now?" And I said, like, it's like 9%, 9.9% or something. It's like 10. He goes, "That's not too bad." He goes, "Yeah, like this is how this works. Um, I would have to, we would have to pay out the car and then refinance you on the same car." And he goes, for the past bunch of years, it's been abused by dealerships, like this process, this thing. Because really, what this is that a year or year into your car or whatever, like it never works out how much you owe and how much is left on the vehicle. It never works out, like your depreciation versus what we would finance. He goes, I would have to talk to the owner and we would have to see if it's worth doing. He goes, but it's been abused by dealers to the point where banks are now wary of these kinds of things. And I said, oh, like, what are you talking about? And then he said, so they'll get you in with this phone call saying, hey, you qualify for a better rate. Come on down, we'll talk about it. They then say this thing where, this is what we'll do. If you want, we can, work it out so that you can get a new loan on the vehicle you already own, that you're already driving. It's like, if you're happy with it, if that's the first thing he asks. He goes, what are you driving? I said, it's a 23 Hornet. He goes, are you happy with it? And I said, I love it. It's been great. And he goes, okay, so this is how they get people. This is how they get people. This is a sales tactic. They'll come in and they'll go, okay, you've had the car for a year. What do you think about it? And they'll go, I hate it. The payments too high. Something they don't like. They'll just mention something that they don't like. And finance person goes, okay, sales opportunity. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. What we'll do is we'll buy you out of this one, and you go out on the lot and you find something you like, and then we'll finance you on that one. And because you have a better interest rate, there is a definite possibility that you will have a lower payment or the same payment for a better car, something that you like more, right? And that's the catch. That was the phone call. I was not aware of this sales tactic. I do know the dealership that I came from, like they were 100% on the sales front. Um, every gimmick, every little twist and turn, every little. I found that out during the sales process when the buying process, I guess you could say, when I was buying my car, the Dodge Hornet. They pulled out every sales tactic that I knew, because I used to sell cars, to to wangle the price, all sorts of things, all sorts of things. The sales manager there was on top of his game, really really good stuff, and you know so that actually, when that happened, like I've had a few calls from the dealership to try to get me back in there. Like after that call that I got from that sales manager, after the phone call from her, I actually got a call from another guy, another salesman, out of the blue, saying, "Hey Ryan, how you doing? Do you want to, how's your Hornet and all this stuff?" And hey, I'm just calling to see, how you doing in your car. And I said, I'm not down there anymore. And he said, oh yeah, yeah, okay, no problem. So are you thinking of coming back to Victoria? And I said, well, yeah, maybe. And I knew where this was going, though. I knew where this was going, because we would do this at our when I sold Toyotas. We would actually do this kind of thing. You call up an old customer or somebody that you just sold a car to, 6, 8, well, a year down the road, because you keep everybody in a file, right? And if you're still there at the dealership working, you pull these things out and you call them back up, check them out, how they're doing, to get them back in the dealership, or someone they know, it's lead. it's finding leads, right, to get them to come in and sell them a car. He's like, yeah, if you're ever down in so you coming back down to Victoria, and just for shits and giggles, I said, yeah, I do actually have to go back into Victoria, probably sometime this year, maybe in the fall. He said, yeah, well, come down to the dealership. We got lots of good deals on, blah blah blah. You know, if you're looking for a new vehicle, things like that, just come on down and we'll, talk to us about the Hornet, how it's doing, and you can have a look at what else we got. And I was like, yeah, sure, sounds good. Right? The sales tactics from dealerships. I really forgot how insidious, how stealthy, you know, it can be. How I don't know. I don't want to say unethical because there is a moral play happening here. You know, there is a deception because they call you up with this mask of checking in on how you're doing and how your vehicle's doing. Like, so this genuine care towards another human being is what it's masked as, right? Like this is what it is. Like, and really, the underlying theme to it is, no, we just want your money. I need you to get down here so that I can manipulate you to take money from you, right? You know, and that goes back in the day to the term snake oil salesman. That was an actual thing. It's an actual history thing. And actually, the guy who stole snake oil became it is linked to the automotive industry. The guy who sold snake oil struck it rich with oil, actual crude oil, and he was ruthless in taking over smaller drilling companies and stuff like that, and set up the largest, you know, oil producing company in the United States in the beginning of oil. Yeah, and that's where this, I don't know. It's really interesting because I have a local dealership that I take my car to now, and they are not sales focused, let's say. They've been in business for 50 some odd years in this little community, and their bread and butter is not pumping sales out the door because there's a limited amount of sales that they can actually perform. There's only so many people before the market's saturated with their product, right? So they build trusting, literally, you know, trusting relationships with genuine care towards another human being out in this small community, which is good for the consumer. It's good for me. It's good for the people that bought products from them and get them serviced there and keep going back because people know they're getting looked after. They're not just being taken for their money, sort of thing, right? Like it is a necessity out here to have a car. I've mentioned it a few times in videos. Like, if you don't have a car, you don't have a job. You're not making money. It is a necessity. Now, because everybody has to have a car, you really do want them to come to you. And how do you get somebody to keep coming back to you? And this is where the crux begins between genuine care for a human being and just taking them for their money, right? Because I do get calls. I have had calls from my local dealership asking about service that they've performed. And I've always brushed it off as some sort of sales tactic. Okay. Now that I'm in the community and a part of it, I now understand that this company that I'm dealing with is not sales focused. They are human focused actually. They do have to make money on their dealership, but they've been in business. It's a long standing family owned car dealer in a rural area, which is something I've never experienced before. I've always been big city, high pressure, well, mass is low pressure sales, right? I was even a part of that for a while. So this is a new experience for me where, it, you know, where they are actually taking care of the people that are coming in with what they have. And hey, if you don't need it, they're not going to sell it to you. They know the people. They deal with them. They know the farms that they live in, the houses that they all meet each other at church. There is a thing with this. It's not like in and out the door. Like I'm going to walk across the street to Ford kind of thing, or something that's nothing like that, right? Your car's broken. I'll come out and pick you up, and we'll get this thing fixed, and then pay for it as you can pay for it, sort of thing. We know that you need the vehicle. We know that kind of stuff actually happens out here. So I was really happy when I went into the finance guy's office and just asked him, "Hey, what's this about?" He goes, oh, "Okay, this is kind of what this is how dealerships use this." Is to get somebody in, and really what it is to get you into a new vehicle. It's to get you out of, to take the loss on the car you're driving. Because if you're having a bad experience, like to be honest with you, nobody wants that. So we'll get you out of that. The dealership usually takes some sort of, we got to work numbers in order to do this, but rarely does it happen where you get refinanced on your vehicle again. Like banks don't like to see that. Banks don't like to see that you're taking this loan off of that, and you have to go to another bank because the same bank is not going to take the same loan with the same name on the same car for a cheaper price, right? Like they don't want that business. Yeah, so that was the deal with that. And he goes, if you want, I can talk to the owner there, and I can see if we can do that with your car and if it'll be worth it. He goes, the thing is that for this loan to probably to go through, it's more than likely going to have to be in somebody else's name. I thought, oh, okay. It's like putting the same loan on the same car with the same VIN. Banks are going to look at this and go, no, we're not going to do that, right? They're now aware of this and they're frowning upon it. So I just wanted to share that with my viewers on this sales tactic that's happening right now. The reason why I'm doing this is because car dealerships, especially in the United States, um, here in Canada too, but they are struggling. Nobody's buying new cars, and so they're going to be pulling out all the stops. So they still need full price from these cars. They're probably offering deals. It's probably like this time in the car market has not happened in a very long time, but you can very if you keep your thumb on the pulse of your local car market and dealerships, you can go into a struggling dealership and buy a new car used lower than what they paid for. Like this is that time in history where you can get that deal that people talked about in baby boomers time. Oh yeah, like I worked such a good deal with the salesman, I got it lower than cost. There's You can do that regularly with, if you're good with the sales process, and there's rebates and things like that, you can do that. But now, like, dealerships are struggling where they are selling vehicles just to be able to make a payment on their floor plans, and whatever they whatever cash they can get to make those before they go bankrupt, or just to keep from going bankrupt, they will let cars go for super cheap. But you really do have to know what's going on with your local dealerships and stuff like that, right? You can't just walk into any dealership, but you have to go into one that's really struggling, one that went too big too fast, or has too much product on the lot and nobody's buying, and they have to dump vehicles, and auctions aren't working because used car auctions aren't buying them, because nobody's buying from used car auctions, because nobody can afford, you know, everybody has to finance a used car, even as low as like $5,000 or $2,500. People cannot afford car payments anymore, and this is the struggle. So if you actually have some money laying around and are looking for a car, you can get super mega deals coming up here, uh, probably before Christmas, if you keep an eye on your dealerships. That's just me saying that. I don't know very much. I am stuck out in the middle of nowhere, Canada, and but I do know kind of what's going on with the car industry, and I do know that they are struggling, and some dealerships are over their head, you know, especially Dodge dealerships that are sitting with 3 years old inventory of new cars, new trucks, you know, that something's got to give, and every once in a while it does give, and now is the time that it's broken, you know. Not every dealership, not every town, not every city, but it is happening. And it is more widespread than people like to think. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate your viewership. Consider liking the video. If you're new, consider subscribing the video. Um, yeah, my daughter told me, yeah, ask to hit the bell. I never hit the bell. When I'm watching, I never hit the bell. But I don't do notifications, which is just my thing, I think. But if you do notifications, hit the bell. You know what to do. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.